Welcome. In this video, we'll be looking at the automatic purchase order creation in Bepoz. That is, the ability within Bepoz to create a purchase order on a supplier based on either minimums and maximums or on sales history. It is assumed that you are familiar with creating and receiving purchase orders within Bepoz. If you are not familiar with this, there is a video in the series that covers creating and receiving manual purchase orders. Okay, let's talk about automatic purchase orders. Firstly, if you have more than one store in your venue, it is preferred that you restock all the other stores in your venue from your inwards goods store. Then we create an automatic purchase order to the inwards goods store. Let's now look at how we create an automatic purchase order. Firstly, we go into the stock control menu and we go into purchasing and receiving. Here we have our purchase order list as usual. Now I select new purchase order. And it is at this point that the system will prompt me to select either a manual blank purchase order or create an automatic purchase order. I'll select automatic purchase order. Now I'm presented with the purchase order creation report. In here, I have many settings and options that I can use to create a report of exactly the products that I wish to order. Once I have the products that I wish to order displayed, I can then use the Create Purchase Order button at the top to create a purchase order from this report. Okay, firstly, we'll have a quick look at some of the options that are in this screen. Then we'll create a quick purchase order. Then after that, we'll come back in here and look at all the different options that we have to create automatic purchase orders. Okay, at the top of the screen, firstly, we would normally select the supplier that we wish to create the purchase order for. So I'll select Schweppes. You'll see immediately the screen is filled with the products that the system suggests we should reorder. This is based on, firstly, the reorder calculation mode, which is set currently to min-max. And then on the left, you'll see that the product group is selected base product group, meaning that any product anywhere in the product list that is supplied by the supplier Schweppes and its current quantity on hand is less than the minimum that is set for that product will then be added to this report. If I'm happy with this report, all I simply need to do is click on the Create Purchase Order button. And you'll see immediately a purchase order has been created for me. From here, I can add more products or edit the purchase order that is presented to me. As you can see, it is very quick and easy to create an automatic purchase order. At this point, all I need to do is optionally set some purchase order details at the top of the screen and then click on the Post Purchase Order. And then the whole procedure is complete. For the moment, I won't post this purchase order because what I wish to do is go back into the purchase order creation report and let's look at some of the other options that we have there to customize this automatic purchase order. Looking at the top of the screen, you'll see firstly we can select the store that the purchase order that we wish to create will be based on. The default will be the inwards goods store. It is always advisable to leave it at this setting. Next to this, you see we can select the supplier. Currently we have Schweppes set. One of the options is all suppliers. This is useful if I wish to see all the products that are required in my venue. However, you cannot create a purchase order based on all suppliers. You must select each supplier in turn, remembering that a product can be supplied from more than one supplier. So, once it is ordered from the first supplier, then that product's on order field would actually be increased by the order. Therefore, it would then not be ordered from any subsequent supplier that you created a purchase order from. Below this, we see the reorder calculation mode. This is one of the main settings in this screen. It tells the system how to calculate which products need to be reordered. The options we have is use min-max, to min, to max, and use sales data. Firstly, a word on minimums and maximums. The maximum is the maximum number of items that you wish to hold of stock of this product. The system will order up to, but not beyond, the maximum quantity. This is very good Once the maximum quantity is set for each product, the system will then know the quantity that it must order for each product. However, some products may only require 1 or 2 items to restore it back to this maximum quantity, and you may not wish to order such a small quantity for these products. This is where the minimum quantity comes into play. Once a minimum quantity is set, the system will not reorder until the product is below that minimum quantity. This is the power of a minimum maximum system. You'll see on the screen there's a few examples of this. The Coke 330ml single at the bottom of the screen has a current minimum setting of 6 and a current maximum setting of 24. If we look at the quantity on hand, you'll see that it is 4. This 4 is below the minimum quantity of 6, so therefore the system is ordering 20 of these items to go up to the 24 maximum. If, however, you do wish a product to be always ordered, even if only 1 item is required, you simply set the minimum and maximum to be the same number. Looking back at the reorder calculation mode, other options we have is 2min and 2max. You may use the 2min if you know you are coming into a very quiet period and you wish to only reorder to your minimum levels. Conversely, the 2max would be used if you know you are coming into a very busy time and you wish to make sure that all products are ordered and stocked right up to their maximums. If you have more than one store in your venue, these minimums and maximums and quantity on hand are for the store that is selected at the top, in this case our inwards goods store seller. This is the default of how you would use this report. As mentioned before, prior to doing this, you would firstly restock all the other stores in your venue from the inwards goods store. Then, once all the other stores have their stock on hand set correctly, you would then create this automatic purchase order on the inwards goods store. Alternatively, by turning on the flag Use Data from All Stores, the system will then add together all the quantities in all the stores. That is, it will add together all the quantities on hand, all the minimums, and all the maximums for each product. Then, it will place the order based on these totals. Okay, that was all based on minimums and maximums that may be set in your system. Alternatively, you can simply use sales data to generate the purchase order. To do this, you would then select the Use Sales Data option. The system now looks at the display period that we have set and calculates the total sales for each product for this period. Once it has done this, it divides that total sales by the number of days within that period, ending up with the average sold per day. It then multiplies this sold per day by the total number of days that you wish to order stock for, which is the addition of the reorder days and the safety stock days. In this case, it's 10, so it will multiply the average sold per day by 10. Don't worry too much about the mathematics for now. We'll look at an example in a moment. Looking back at the screen, firstly, we would always turn on the Use Data from All Stores flag whenever we're using the sales data. This means that it will be looking at sales across my whole venue when calculating my average stock sold per day. Next, I have the reorder days and the safety stock days. These are simply added together. In this case, the system will be calculating the stock that I require for a 10-day period. You can easily change these to be 8 days, 10 days, or 14 days, or whichever stock period that you wish to reorder for. Once we've set this, we then set the display period. I wish it to look at the current week. It is important that the display period that you select has a very similar average daily sales to the period that you're stocking for. This may be last week, last month, or even it might be from this period last year. If you do not have a period that is going to be similar and you wish to make a percentage adjustment, the field at the top of the screen, percentage adjustment, can help you in this. You may feel that the coming sales week might be 20% greater than last week, in which case you would use the display period of last week but then put a percentage adjustment of 120%. This would then vary up all the quantities required. Once I have set up this report to be exactly as I wish to use it, remember you can use the Save Report option at the top of the screen to save this report, and then next time it is a simple matter of selecting this report from your saved reports. If now I'm happy with this purchase order, once again I can simply click the Create Purchase Order and I'm done. But before we do that, there is one last thing in this screen that we'll look at. When you're creating a purchase order creation report, you may have many products on this screen. Although when you create your purchase order, you can simply remove any products that you wish not to order. It may be preferable to filter out these products first. We can use the Show Filter button to filter out any products that we wish not to pass through to the purchase order. If you are not familiar with the filtering option within Bepoz, there is a video in this series that covers how to filter reports within Bepoz. For the sake of this exercise, what I'll simply do is I'll say that only products that have a required cases that does not equal 0 to be included in my purchase order. Now, once I click the Create Purchase Order button, you'll see that only the products that haven't been filtered out are included on my purchase order. I'm now very happy with this purchase order that I've created. All I simply wish to do is make one little change to one of the products. I'll elect to change this to actually order 4 cases. Now that I'm happy with everything that I've ordered, I simply click the Post Purchase Order. I can print this purchase order as usual, plus I can email it as I usually can. Now, if I go back into the purchase order list, you'll see that my purchase order has been posted and sent. Now, all I need to do is receive the purchase order as I normally would. This is covered in the Creating and Receiving Manual Purchase Orders video. This has been an introduction to the automatic purchase order creation in Bepoz.